Finn Balor. Finn Balor. Guys, I know I'm 2 days late for this, and I just saw it earlier today because I was on YouTube and I saw it, but I wanted to touch on it before the weekend hits. I know this happened in NXT, but Finn Balor turned heel in one of the most unexpected ways possible. Man, I tell you, um, this was the first time that he turned heel in WWE. He's been a heel before in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but this is the first time he's actually been a heel at WWE. And I gotta say that this heel turn was well executed. I mean, I don't think anybody saw it coming. He said his future is his past, and a lot of people thought he was talking about the Finn that he used to be in NXT, the Finn that was one of the longest reigning NXT champions. That's the Finn Balor that people thought that he was going to. But no one ever would have thought that he was referring to the Finn, the person that he was, Prince. I can't say, I think it's Prince Given or whatever his last name was in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Nobody thought that he was talking about that Finn. He was talking about the Finn Balor. Nobody thought he was talking about that person. That he was talking about the man that he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it's even funnier to see, the way how the Bullet Club, former Bullet Club members, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows reacted towards it. And I just find it crazy how it took for them to bring him back to NXT for this to happen. This should have been something that should have happened when he was on Raw or SmackDown, specifically when he was on Raw. And it's crazy that it took for this man to go back to the show that he's burst on the scene with when he came to the company, to go back to reinvent himself, to boost himself, because the whole purpose of why Finn left in the first place, the whole purpose of why he took the hiatus was so that he can recharge. And I could tell that Finn was getting tired of being a babyface. I mean, you know, Finn was not one of those guys that was getting booed out of the arena, that fans were booing or anything like that. He was actually always cheered. I can't really say that Finn was ever booed. I've read many comments about people saying he's stale, and he's always that smiling, muscular type dude that just has abs and all that type of stuff. But he's not one of those baby faces that it was like he desperately needed a heel turn. Yes, he needed to turn heel, but it wasn't to the point where he desperately needed it. Because unlike some baby faces, Seth Rollins, he was not getting booed out the arena or being booed by fans. He was very beloved as a babyface. The problem was just the way how he was being booked. That's pretty much it. But he wasn't one of those typical babyfaces like a lot of the babyfaces now where, they get booed and the heels get cheered. He was actually still getting massively cheered as a babyface. But I think that this was definitely something different here, and it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people are questioning if he's going to join the if he's going to join the if he's going to join if he's going to join the undisputed era or just go solo. Now, of course, to me personally, it would make no sense for him to join the Undisputed Era, because then there would probably be a leadership thing. It would kind of be similar um, to what happened. Now, this isn't really a good comparison, but it's kind of like how the Nexus, the original leader was Wade Barrett, but then when CM Punk became a part of the Nexus, he took over and then exiled Wade Barrett out the group. I mean, I don't really think it would be necessary for him to join the Undisputed Era. It makes a lot more sense for him to just be a solo badass. And that's pretty much what it seemed like. I mean, he didn't, when he left, first it seemed like he was going to side with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, but then he did a smooth Pele kick on Johnny Gargano, and then he hit him with they used to call the Bloody Sunday, but what he calls the 1916 and WWE. But and he hit him right on the stage with it. So I mean, I just think that was that was brutal. The kick was smooth. The way that he hit Johnny Gargano with the Bloody Sunday, aka the 1916 on the stage, was crazy. I mean, the whole way that they plotted it, it was very unexpected. I think that this heel turn here, um, I think it really caught a lot of people off guard. It even caught me off guard when I watched it earlier today, how it happened. It just was a simple kick. And it wasn't until you started to see the Undisputed Era beat down Tommaso Ciampa that you realized that he really was turning heel. First, you was like, what the fuck? Like, what? What was this? But then when you realized that he just allowed them to beat up Tommaso Ciampa, and then he went out and finished attacking um, Johnny Gargano, first hitting him with double knees and literally making the whole entire barricade fall with fans behind it, and then to hit him with the Bloody Sunday in 1916, whatever you want to call it, on the apron on the stage. That was just you could tell that this was definitely a huge, massive change. I mean, first, last time I came on here, I talked about how Bailey turned heel and how she changed. But I think this one kind of topped that one because with this one, I like the way that they turned Bailey heel. But I think with this one, I think Finn, I think what made it work so perfectly was that you really, really did not expect it. Like, and it wasn't one of those things that a lot of people were saying that they wanted him to turn heel and that it needed to happen, but it wasn't like a force type thing. I feel like this was something that Finn himself wanted to do. That he wanted to come back and be a heel. I feel like this was something he wanted because when you're playing the same role for a long period of time, especially if you played a great role in the opposite side in a different promotion, but you've always played the same role in WWE, eventually you're going to want to go join the dark side or join the good side, whatever side you didn't really do. And that's pretty much what I think Finn was doing. I think that whole time he was off, his general plan to coming back was to be a heel. And if that meant that he had to go to NXT for that to happen, then so be it. Now, like I said, it's sad that it took for him to go back there for it to happen. It really just shows you the direction that the main, that SmackDown Raw and the way that is, it just shows you how they are because he could have easily been a heel and on the, Raw or SmackDown. But then, at the same time, I kind of get why they didn't do it on Raw. Um, Now you can argue that because I didn't follow New Japan, but what I heard, but I do know a lot of guys who came from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know Kenny Omega was a part of the Bullet Club. I know, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Carnage, and Gals. It was a huge group for the Bullet Club. And what I heard was that the leadership role was actually, if I'm not mistaken, correct. I could be wrong. I believe it was actually AJ Styles and Finn Balor, or one of them was leading. So I think the one issue, unless they did a thing where he joined them and they were co-leaders, where AJ and Finn were the co-leaders, but even that could lead into chaos. I think it was a thing where you know, it was some type of tension. And and the one problem with if he had joined the Bullet Club on Raw, it probably would have led to, just some type of distinction between a leadership fight over who's going to lead the club, one of those type of things. Even though I don't think that would have made a lot of sense for them to do that, but knowing WWE, they probably would have just had it where it just ended up where it was just them two battling over who's leading the group. And so, in a way, it kind of makes sense that he didn't turn heel on Raw. And I say Raw because by the time he got drafted to SmackDown, at that point, he wasn't really doing much. He was already an Intercontinental Champion coming from Raw, and he beat Andrade. He was in the Money in the Bank match, which he suffered some of the worst abuse in that match. And then the very last thing he did was feud with Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and that was just it. And then he took a break and came back at NXT. But I think it was definitely worth it, and It's going to be interesting to see next week and the upcoming weeks on NXT what it is that they do with him. As far as if he's going to just stay solo and be a badass, or if he's just going to join, the Undisputed Era, which I don't think needs to happen at all. I think he needs to just stay by himself. That really doesn't make a lot of sense because then that would just, again, be another leadership thing where it would just probably just end up being him and Adam Cole fighting over who's going to lead. Uh, and not only that, but Adam Cole is an NXT champion. And logically, everyone knows that, no matter what group you're part of, the one person wants to win the big one, the big title of the show. So, probably just lead to them to having a match down the line for the title or something, because Adam Cole does need someone new to feud with. We've already seen him go against John Gargano countless times. He just retained his title against Matt Riddle when they fully moved to USA for 2 hours. So we saw him beat Joe. We saw him beat Jordan Miles, which we haven't even seen since that match. So it's kind of pointless of him even getting winning the breakouts tournament or whatever. That was just pointless. But anyway, so it really, now you kind of have to find someone else in the feud with, and I like I said, I don't know what this is leading to. It was just very unexpected. The Pele kick was smooth. It came out of nowhere, and like I said, I'm talking about this late because just looked at it early today. I was not able to see it on Wednesday because I'm doing college work and everything, but I just saw it early, and it was crazy to me. I just very unexpected, but I think it was well put together. Um, I think the way that they executed it was perfect, and it's just going to be interesting to see what he does from here. I've always liked Finn Balor, and I think this was definitely something he needed. You could tell that him leaving and coming back, this was definitely probably something he pitched in himself. I'm glad it was actually able to work. And like I said, it's been a lot of heel turns this year, but not all of them have been on the good end of things. Like I said, we recently saw the full transformation of Bailey. Leo Sherrod turned heel early this year. There's been quite a few heel turns that's taken place this year, but not all of them have really executed, have really succeeded. But, I think this one, you know, with the way how NXT is, with their way how their storytelling is, I think that this one is really going to execute. I think this one is definitely going to deliver. And, it should be interesting to see what he does. Because I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to what he does. Because, Finn Balor, he's not, that just really, man, that really got me. It did. But, and I think how they did it, it definitely go down as a very unexpected heel turn. And to me, those are the best heel turns, not the ones that you know it's gonna happen. Because sometimes, you could just tell that they're gonna turn someone heel. But when it's unexpected like that, and the way how they plotted that out, that was perfect. You don't get too many unexpected heel turns like that. So how they did that was perfect. It was like on Raw when Bailey tried to stop Sasha Banks from using the steel chair on Becky, and then she started hitting it with a smile. That was the first steel turn she had. When she fully joined the dark side once she destroyed her Bailey bubbles and did that and won back the SmackDown Women's Championship. But in this case here, he didn't even need to do all that. He didn't need to change his gimmick. He didn't need to do any of that. All he did was just come out and use a Pele kick and then attack Johnny Gargano, and this is probably going to lead to a Johnny Gargano and a Finn Balor match at the next Takeover. I can pretty much see that happen. I think that's going to steal the show if that's the case. You know, again, if Finn Balor came back to NXT to win gold or not, remains to be seen. But I definitely see him going against Johnny Gargano and stealing the show at the next Takeover they have right before Survivor Series. That that's probably what they're building up to. It would make logical sense. I mean, I'm all for it. It's so many matches that I would love to see with Finn Balor. I mean, with Adam Cole, he is feuding with someone. He right now the person he's probably going to face is the Muscle Champion. Because the Muscle Champion already said last week. Daddy's back home wanting to get his championship back. So obviously, he's gonna it's gonna end up being Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa at the next takeover, and probably Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor. So they're both gonna be feuding with someone. Tommaso Ciampa is gonna be trying to win his title back, and you know, Johnny Gargano is gonna be feuding with Finn Balor. So it looks pretty good. Um, Now whether or not Tommaso wins the title back, I don't know. Probably Finn will probably go over against Johnny in the most sense. And yeah, I just want to talk about this. I know I'm late, but I just want to talk about it really quickly. Really unexpected heel turn, but well executed. Um, and yeah, so signing off Raymaster Flex. Try to see if I can get some more videos out there. Maybe I'm not gonna do a review on Saudi Arabia. Just, I just, all these shows have been mostly the same, watered down house shows with maybe one or two matches that are actually worth um, seeing or worth talking about. And I just don't think it's necessary. I'm still gonna watch it, but I don't think it's necessary. So yeah, so sign off, Raymaster Flex. Like, comment, subscribe, and